Hello, my name is Lloyd Bastani, and I'm SUNY Maritime College's International Student Coordinator. I'd like to formally welcome you to the International Student Orientation for Fall 2020. Normally, this orientation would be hosted in the fall during your first week of classes. However, in lieu of the COVID-19 pandemic, we felt it was necessary for you to have as much information as possible going into the fall semester. We may still have an in-person orientation meeting this fall if social distancing measures are able to be taken into account. However, that is a decision we will make closer to the start of classes. I'd like to start off by thanking you all for your patience and perseverance during the entire admissions, I-20, and visa processes. The events occurring across the world have added many complexities to the international student experience this year. Know that I'm here to help you at any step of the way in any way that I can. Always feel free to reach out to me via email, or if you would prefer to speak face-to-face, I would be happy to Zoom, Skype, or WhatsApp with you. Thank you, and please enjoy the presentation. This orientation will be completed in two parts. Following this orientation video, there will be a synchronous Zoom session for you to ask questions and meet each other. This orientation will take place Wednesday, July 29th at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. This will be on Zoom. Invitations will be sent out via email prior to the start of the orientation. If students need additional time slots, I will be more than happy to accommodate. The COVID-19 pandemic has caused massive disruptions across the world. At SUNY Maritime, we understand your concerns. Please note that the college is taking all precautions to ensure student health and safety during arrival to campus and throughout the fall 2020 semester. Information on safety measures and what day-to-day life on campus will look like will be announced in the coming days. Classes begin on August 26th for students in the regiment, and on September 8th for civilian students. While traveling to and from campus, and when you are unable to maintain social distancing, you will be required to wear a mask or face covering. Please be prepared for potential quarantine measures that you may have to follow. You may be required to arrive 14 days before your anticipated start date to self-quarantine before you can begin your academic program. Additional information on this quarantine period will be provided soon. I'd also ask you to please check your email consistently. Information and regulations are constantly changing, and we'll be sharing information with you via email as soon as we learn of it. The F1 visa process. After receiving and processing your I-20 application and supporting financial documentation, SUNY Maritime will issue you your I-20 form. Once you have received your I-20 form, you can begin the process of obtaining your F1 visa. Your visa is essentially your ticket into the United States. You cannot enter the country without a valid visa and valid I-20. To obtain your visa, you will need to complete an interview at a US consulate or embassy. Due to COVID-19, we understand that many consulates and embassies are still closed. However, in the coming days and weeks, opportunities for visa interviews should resume. We highly suggest that you arrange your visa interview as soon as you can. If possible, we also suggest that you try and request that your interview be expedited. Please see the welcome packet you'll be receiving along with your I-20 for detailed information on this process. Prior to arranging your interview, you will need to pay the I-901 CVIS fee and complete an I-160 visa application. Links to these are provided on the slide. Your visa interview. Please bring the following items to your visa interview appointment, as well as when you first enter the United States. Your passport valid for at least 6 months, your original maritime acceptance letter, original signed I-20, I-20s from previous schools if you have any, your CVIS fee receipt, your completed I-160 visa application, original financial evidence that you submitted for your I-20 application, as well as the affidavit of financial support that you submitted for your I-20 application, a receipt of your payment to SUNY Maritime College, and if you have it, your class schedule for SUNY Maritime College this fall. Here are some tips for when you are traveling to the United States. Please wear a face mask in the airport, on the airplane, and on your way to campus. This is for your safety and to prevent any difficulties for you entering the country. Due to COVID-19 and constantly changing travel restrictions, we are also requiring that you purchase travel insurance on your flights. So in case you have to cancel or change the day, you're able to do that at no extra cost. Additionally, don't put your important documents, like your passport and I-20, in your suitcase. Carry them on your person in a place that's easily accessible. Also, make sure you are traveling with approximately $100 to $300 of US dollars for use when you arrive, in case you need to take a cab to campus. However, please don't travel with large sums of cash. Housing. All first-year maritime students and international students are offered housing on campus. If you have not done so already, please complete the housing application at suny-maritime-residence.simplicity.com. You will find out your room assignments in the beginning of August. After arriving to the US, you may experience something called culture shock. Cultural adjustment is frequently described as a roller coaster, full of ups and downs where you may feel frustrated, homesick, or depressed. Some symptoms of culture shock are sadness, homesickness, feeling lost, trouble sleeping or insomnia, having low confidence, or feelings of irritability. In a new culture surrounded by a language you may be unfamiliar with, these feelings are completely normal, and they will pass, given time and effort on your part. Here are some tips to overcoming culture shock. You can develop a hobby or join a sport. Always try to stay positive and be patient. Things will change if you give it the time and put in the effort. Keep busy and try and make new friends. You can also maintain contact with people from your culture who may be on campus. Also, get involved at campus by joining clubs or volunteering. Keep in touch with your friends and family at home to help with your homesickness. Also, things aren't going to go your way all the time. It's okay. Unforeseen challenges are going to happen. Find ways to live with things that don't satisfy you 100%. And always remember that health services and student affairs are always available to assist you if you need someone to talk to or require assistance with anything. American culture tips. Americans are typically referred to as friendly, but it takes time to often become real friends. Typical greetings might be, "Hi, how's it going?" And a typical response might be, "I'm doing well, how about you?" Deep conversations usually don't happen until you're closer with someone. Americans also really appreciate their personal space, so kisses and hugs among friends are not as common until you're pretty close with them. Additionally, it's important to note that New York State and City embrace people of all backgrounds, sexual orientations, religions, politics, customs, and cultures. It's your job to be open-minded. Also note that the drinking age in the United States is 21 years of age. Make sure to bring identification if you go out. Also, public drinking is against the law. Tobacco, smoking of any kind, is not allowed in any indoor place in New York. On campus, smoking is only permitted in designated gazebos. However, due to social distancing measures from COVID-19, restrictions may change. Off campus, tobacco is allowed on the street, unless otherwise noted, as well as in designated smoking areas. The following is some information about American academics. Teaching in the United States is a lot more interactive and less dependent on rote memorization. Students regularly interrupt faculty and professors to ask questions or offer constructive criticism of part of the lecture. This is encouraged, since professors prefer discussion and debate to simply sitting at the front of the room and talking. Faculty will have open office hours for students to come by and ask questions. These hours can be found in your course syllabi, which you will be given at the start of every semester. Larger lectures will often have smaller recitation sections. Recitation sections are classes that review the material presented in the main lecture class, supplement it with additional material, and provide you an opportunity to ask questions to your instructor or the teaching assistant. Due to COVID-19, all classes at SUNY Maritime will likely be operating at a 50% capacity, which will mean more sections of the same class with a smaller amount of students in each class. Additionally, I'd also like to bring to your attention the Learning Center and the Writing Center. The Learning Center and Writing Center are places on campus where you can come for tutoring in any classes that you're having difficulty in. Additionally, tutoring is offered virtually. While we're on the subject of academics, I'm also going to talk about plagiarism and academic honesty. Unless the professor has indicated that collaboration is expected, you should do all of the work for a class on your own. Collaborating with fellow students on individual assignments is considered cheating. Studying with others is okay, but assignments should always be completed individually unless they are a group project. Quoting a text word for word in a writing assignment without properly attributing the source in a citation is plagiarism. Cheating and plagiarism are both grounds for failing a class or even being expelled from the school. The weather. New York City experiences all 4 distinct seasons: winter, summer, fall, and spring. In the winter, you should definitely prepare for snow. This season typically lasts from December through March, with average temperatures about 39 degrees Fahrenheit or 4 degrees Celsius. We recommend purchasing waterproof snow boots and gloves. Though the last winter was relatively mild, that's something you can't expect every year. For the summer, average temperatures are about 85 degrees Fahrenheit or 29 degrees Celsius. It's very hot, typically from May through September. The fall lasts from the end of September through November, with average temperatures of 67 degrees Fahrenheit or 17 degrees Celsius. Lastly, the spring, which lasts typically from March through June, averages about 61 degrees Fahrenheit or 16 degrees Celsius. It does tend to get rainy in the spring, so you will need an umbrella and waterproof shoes. Health insurance. International students at SUNY Maritime College are covered under United Healthcare Student Resources, a healthcare insurance company. Health costs will automatically be added to your bill. You can request to waive this insurance through Maritime's Student Accounts website, though getting that waived is not guaranteed, nor is it recommended. United Healthcare Student Resources, the healthcare policy at SUNY Maritime, provides you with comprehensive healthcare insurance. You will be able to print your insurance card the first week of classes. Here's an image to show what that insurance card will likely look like. It's important that once you're able to, you print the insurance card from the United Healthcare Student Resources website. I'm more than happy to assist you with doing this. You can also download the card and save it to your mobile phone. You must always have your insurance card with you at all times. Here are some tips for health insurance. You can download United Healthcare Student Resources application on your smartphone. Also, feel free to call them for assistance with your plan or your coverage. Only go to a hospital for life-threatening or potentially life-threatening issues. If you're just feeling sick or a little unwell, you can go to Student Healthcare Services Monday through Thursday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., or on Friday, 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. Their offices are located on campus. For care outside of those hours, when student health services is closed, you can go to Throgs Neck Urgent Care, which is located about a 10-minute drive from campus. You can take an Uber, Lyft, or take the local bus. Next, we'll be going over the essential concepts and documents for your immigration status: CVIS, your entry visa, your status, the I-94, and Form I-20 and DS-2019. CVIS is an abbreviation for the Student and Exchange Visitor Information System. It's a government database accessible by the Department of Homeland Security and U.S. consulates. It collects, maintains, and tracks information on all international students in the United States. Every school has one or more designated school officials, which are responsible for maintaining the records of all international students on campus. I am one of the designated school officials at SUNY Maritime College. The other is Dr. Anderson, the Assistant Dean of Student Affairs. It is important that your CVIS record is always kept updated. If any information, such as your contact information or address, changes, it is important that you let us know immediately so we can make sure that your record is correct. If your record is not correct, it can cause issues with you returning to the United States in the future. As I mentioned earlier, your visa is your ticket into the country. Without a valid visa, you will not be able to enter the United States. A visa will be stuck into your passport and take up an entire page of your passport. On it will be displayed your visa type, which for you will be F1, and the expiration date. If your visa has expired, you will not be permitted to enter the United States. If you see that your visa is expiring soon, we highly recommend that you apply to have your visa renewed. Additionally, some visas limit the number of entries. The amount of entries will be listed where indicated. Your entry visa does not determine how long you can stay in the US. What it does determine is how long you are eligible to enter the US. If you have a 5-year entry visa, it doesn't mean that you can stay here in the US for 5 years. What it does allow you to do is enter and exit and re-enter the US while you have a valid I-20 and are pursuing your program. It's fine to have an expired visa while inside the US. However, this does become a problem if you intend to leave the US and try and re-enter. Remember that you cannot re-enter the United States on an expired visa. If you notice that your visa is expiring soon, please let International Student Services know so we can assist you in renewing your visa. Next, we talk about the I-94 arrival document. This document must be printed out every time you re-enter the United States from another country. It's an important document, and it's the only legal evidence of your admission into the country. Granted, you won't be able to print one right now because you haven't entered the US yet. However, once you've entered the United States later this summer, I can show you how to print out the I-94 form. Or you can see at the specified website what that page looks like. This is an example of what a typical I-94 arrival document looks like. It'll show your record number and the date you've come into the country and where you've come from. Next, we'll talk about the I-20 form. You can see an example of what an I-20 form looks like on the right side of this page. The I-20 form must be presented every time you enter the United States as an F1 student. It needs to be signed by an international student advisor for travel at least once per year, preferably at the start of the academic year. This signature will be on the second page of the I-20. Unlike a visa, Your I-20 or DS-2019, which is the document for J1 students, needs to remain valid while you're in the US. This is an example of what the second page of your I-20 form looks like. You can see that the designated school official has signed and dated the form. This is called recertification. This recertification signature is valid for 1 year. This signature allows you to leave and re-enter the United States using this form. If your signature is not valid, you will not be permitted to re-enter the country. It is very important that you check with the International Student Coordinator that your signature is valid before leaving the United States for any reason. Maintaining your status is the most important thing you can be doing as an international student. Maintaining your status means you are following all regulations for F1 students issued by the US government and CBIS. If you fail to maintain your status, you will be designated as out of status, which could result in the termination of your program and cause problems for your entry to the United States in the future. Always make sure you have a valid and unexpired passport, visa, and I-20. You must attend class regularly, and you cannot work an unauthorized job. Authorization to work can be granted for on-campus employment, and in some cases, off-campus employment. If you ever have any questions about employment or maintaining your status, please check in with the International Student Coordinator. There are also course and school schedule requirements for maintaining your status. However, please note that COVID-19 may affect some of these regulations in unforeseen ways, as many campuses in the United States are adopting hybrid in-person and online delivery methods for the fall semester courses. As an F1 student, you will be required to maintain what is called a full course load of study. For undergraduate students, this full course load is 12 credits. For graduate students, this full course load is 9 credits. Only one online class may count towards this full course load. However, beyond that full course load, you can add as many online courses as you would like. Some students are eligible for what is called a reduced course load, meaning they would not be required to take the full 12 credit course load for undergrads or the full 9 credit course load for graduate students. You may be authorized to have a reduced course load as a result of the following reasons. The first being academic difficulty. If you have severe difficulty with the English language or reading requirements, difficulty as a result of unfamiliarity with US teaching methods, or improper course level placement. The second reason is medical reasons. These medical reasons must be documented by a licensed physician on that physician's office stationery. The last reason you could be authorized for a reduced course load is if you are in the final semester of your program. During the final semester of your program, you are not required to take a full course load to complete graduation requirements. Lastly, to maintain your status, you must never leave the program without speaking with an international student coordinator first. If you change your address or move, you must notify the international student coordinator within 10 days of your move. A quick note about travel. To return from a trip within the US or abroad, carry with you the following documents: an unexpired passport, valid at least 6 months into the future, an unexpired F1 or J1 visa, your I-20 form with a valid travel signature on the second page, your most recent I-94 form, your health insurance card, your SUNY Maritime student ID, and an unofficial school transcript or school schedule. Prior to making any travel arrangements, please check with the International Student Coordinator. Program extension. If you would like to extend your program, this must be done before the program end date indicated on your Form I-20. You will need to complete and return the form and new financial documentation to the International Student Coordinator. You can only extend your program for up to 1 year at a time. Additionally, to be eligible for a program extension, you cannot have academic probation or suspension on your record. Employment. Normally, you can only work on campus. You will need to bring class schedule and your resume to hiring departments. Once employed, you'll need to get a social security number in order to get paid. You can only work 20 hours a week during the semester. However, in light of COVID-19, employment opportunities may be sparse on campus. This is something we can talk about more when you arrive to campus in the fall. Getting a social security card. In order to get a social security card and be eligible for employment, your employer needs to submit an official employment letter to the International Advisor or International Student Coordinator. A social security card application is then prepared. This application must then be taken to a local social security office to be processed. Some advice. Maintaining your immigration status is your responsibility. Make sure you keep informed. Contact the International Student Advisor or Coordinator with any questions about your immigration status. They're always on hand to advise you. Again, always know where your I-20, passport, I-94, and visa are, and make sure to keep them safe. Here, you can see detailed contact information for myself and for Dr. Anderson. Please feel free to reach out if you have any questions or drop by during our office hours. We're always happy to speak with you. Thank you for completing Part 1 of the International Student Orientation for Fall 2020. Remember, on Wednesday, July 29th at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will be having a Part 2 synchronous Zoom session for you to ask questions and meet each other. I look forward to seeing you then.